What's up, Degroote? Welcome to your weekly NBA Bizcast, where we provide you with the information that you need to know. We provide weekly highlights in tech, business, sports, and any other interesting stories. Listen while you work, study, drive, or on your break. Today's Thursday, May 23rd, and I'm going to head right over to Tunde with tech. What's up, Tunde?
Not much. Between all the job applications, I've found a little bit of time to look at the newest product from Microsoft. Now, you guys have to forgive me. I want to geek out for a second here while we talk about the new Xbox. It's going to be called the Xbox One.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the 720.
Yeah, I don't really know why this One branding is coming from.
Does that mean the Xbox 360 is technically 360 times better?
I have no idea. And they already had an Xbox that came before it. I don't know why they wouldn't just call it Xbox, version 3 or 720.
The only thing I could come across was that they wanted to try and make the Xbox your all-in-one go-to system. I think that was the only thing I could understand, but it sounded really thin. They were trying to make it sound like it was a receiver, but really it's just a game console still. Maybe
they shouldn't have messed with the number on the end. Maybe they should have just gone to ZBox and just moved it along the alphabet. This is kind of controversial, this decision.
So on Connor's point, they are going for a more entertainment feel, and I would largely agree with Connor that some of the stuff I think is a complete fail, but only because we're in Canada. Some of the stuff will be a little bit bigger. So let's just run down quickly through the gaming aspect. It's going to be the exact same as 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. All the top-end games are coming to it. They have all the deals the publishers signed. Basically, only ever concerned with Nintendo, who has publishers all the time saying, I don't want to make for your system. Xbox got everyone on board. They're going to launch with the new Call of Duty, the new FIFA, the new Madden. So if you're hardcore, you're a sports guy, all the games are coming out up front. So that's taken care of. They're also putting in a Blu-ray drive, which is very surprising. Now, everyone thought that's going to be PlayStation exclusive. Apparently, Sony's willing to deal on that. So they put a Blu-ray drive in, so you can watch Blu-ray movies finally on the Xbox, which I think is just crazy. It's something that's always been a little bit of a distinguishing factor. You can't watch high-def movies on it. Well, now you can watch high-def movies on it.
So people investing in Sony, stop.
It's kind of weird. I guess for Sony, it must be more money to license out Blu-ray players or to sell Blu-ray players.
Yeah, I guess you'd really have to know the deal that they had. I mean, maybe Sony's making a killing on the actual rights to actually put that in there. So
yeah, it's probably a hedge of some kind where if they happen to get dominated in the console wars, they're still making a little bit of money off of every Blu-ray unit sold and.
Yeah, any game console sold is money in their pocket. Right?
Yeah, so there's definitely an influx there. I bet you, though, for the actual drive, they'll probably use Toshiba or someone cheaper than Sony to make the drive, but Sony still got the rights to that. Moving on to the next kind of big thing, they're giving everyone the Kinect in the box. I've never used Kinect, I'm not a huge fan of it, but definitely attracts the casual gamer crowd. My sister thinks that the yoga stuff is pretty cool and the workout things. The new Kinect, though, will now be 3D tracking in full space, full body motion with some accelerometer features. But the craziest part, it's going to track your heart rate as well as it's supposedly able to sense pulse and changes in rhythm and how hard you're actually working out, which I think is kind of crazy.
This is the first step towards Big Brother, right here. They got every single data point that they could possibly need on you in your living room. Just put a Kinect in every hallway, every doorway.
I don't know what you guys think, but that's pretty insane to have it track your heart rate.
How
are they doing that?
Yeah, that's what my first thought was. How are they doing that? are you hooked up by some device those Nike bands you can wear in your chest that read your heart rate and pulse, or is it purely, we can detect the droplets of sweat on your forehead?
Yeah, I have no idea.
We need to zoom in deeper, do CSI Miami on you or something.
So right now it's unclear. They are going to have some additional accessories for the workout things. So those might be how they get your heart rate. I think there's a wrist thing they might do. The demo's unclear because in the demo people are wearing just workout gear. So in the video, so it could just be that something they're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
But they're saying the camera is either way going to be 10 times more sensitive than the old camera. They're also doing some voice stuff. So you can now turn on your Xbox by saying Xbox on. You can switch between the different modes by saying Xbox play Netflix, Xbox play game, Xbox go on Internet Explorer, Xbox open YouTube. That's pretty powerful, I would say, for people who don't want to be gamers but going to have a console in their home anyway. So, for instance, in my house, no one gamed except for me, but I put a PlayStation in the living room, and they learned to use the word watch Netflix. Yeah. Now, the barrier becoming even lower if all you had to say was Xbox, play Netflix. That's really going to open it up to non-gamers.
I gotta say, I'm excited for the new Xbox. I mean, I have both consoles. Actually, I have all three, or have had all three different points: the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, and the Wii. And I gotta say, the Xbox, as far as being a media hub, being an operating system that facilitates everything from your movie watching, like your Netflix, or your putting a USB drive in it, to your video games, to your online communities, playing video games online. It is just a far superior system to PlayStation 3 and always has been. I mean, the actual hard drive, the actual processing power, the graphics power of the Xbox 360 was outshone by the PlayStation 3. But if they can get a more powerful system, Microsoft has the ability to make a better platform. So I think it'll be a great platform. That said, I am a little scared to see how much they charge for Xbox Live. And if anyone from Microsoft is listening, why is it still $60 a year? Because I'm pretty sure Xbox 360 has been out for like 12 years. So.
I think it's pushing 11 plus years, and it's still $60 a year. People underestimate. People go, "Oh, they don't make a lot of money on the consoles." When you get a $60 per person per year, that's significant money. And you sold 100 million or 150 million consoles. The final thing with the Xbox, and this is the part where they were claiming it's the one where it won't actually be the one, except for if you live in the United States and on select cable providers. Select cable providers have teamed up with them. You can hook up your cable box into the Xbox, and it works kind of like a pass-through. So everything you'd watch on your TV shows up. Your remote and your for your Xbox, your controller will actually change channels and all that. But it also adds that voice stuff I was talking about earlier. So you can say Xbox watch ESPN or watch specific shows. Obviously, it can't track every show, but if it's on the guide, is what the show is called, it will find it. And it gives you a little custom Xbox overlay. And most people, I don't know if you guys, what cable providers use. I use Cogeco here, and the cable box on it's pretty much garbage. Like,
the best of the best?
Cogeco? It's just a terrible experience using those cable boxes. So maybe the Xbox interface could be slightly better, and voice search I think would be useless for me. I would just love to be able to use my controller and like tag shows and have reminders and just be able to say to my Xbox like play Top Gear, right? And because I'll go in and pick Top Gear and I'll know where Top Gear is, or it'll always give me specific shows. Like right now you can tag stuff as favorites, but at least from my experience, the basic cable box is a piece of garbage.
The voice recognition software, I admit, very cool. Kind of just sounds like Siri and S-Voice to me. When I first got my GS3, for like a week, I was like, oh my god, I'm going to S-Voice everything. I have not used it since I've owned it for over like a year now. So I think it's more like nostalgic cool but I don't know if a ton of people would buy into it. Like, what's 2 extra steps for me to turn on my Xbox, or even just like wirelessly turn it on with my controller?
I don't know, man. There's been a lot of fights over who's getting up to get the remote. So I mean,
true.
There's definitely a demand for this product. As for your voice, not that I do this, but I think it would be a great product to use when you're driving. Because I've definitely never done that. But
okay, we just got you out of jail for the last charge from last episode. Stop with the driving infractions. No, the one other thing about the cable connection is, and this isn't a problem really for me personally, but for some people, it's kind of the what's on if you really just want to watch something random. Mm-hmm. It is nice because, I don't know if people cover this, I think it does track your viewing. So you can say what's on or what should I watch or what's cool, and it will try to say, well, you spent all your time watching soccer.
So following the Netflix model.
Exactly. You voluntarily give them the information, and they kind of tell you where to go. That's basically the Xbox in a nutshell. The last kind of concern is I think it's probably going to be over $600, which is terrible. But we have to wait to find out.
Okay, so if they're now they want you to plug your cable box into the back of it, does that sound like they're trying to move towards that receiver all-in-one? Soon, you'll start to plug in your speakers through it, and like everything will go through the one system. I feel like that'd be like the really best, unique way to make sure it stays in every home.
That's what they would like. There's 2 problems with that right now. One, the cable providers will never, ever agree to let anyone cut them out unless the Xboxes are sold like with a cable contract, which
through Rogers.
Yeah, and Rogers would be more than happy to let you do that if you had to sign a contract to get the Xbox as your cable box and have those services. And the second one is, as far as like your other home things, Microsoft is still afraid of the price. So when you want to put in the ability to control speakers, to have all your TV inputs, even video and like USB, they're afraid of the price creeping up. I think they're probably already pushing at least $600 for this starting model, and who's going to pay $1,000 for what is still first and foremost a gaming console?
Great point.
Yeah. Any idea on the release date for that?
They're going to have more announcements coming out at the E3 show in the summer, which I think comes up in about August. And they keep saying 2013. So my assumption is October, especially because Madden is coming with it. My assumption is October timeframe, maybe September at the best.
And in terms of the overall landscape, I know Wii U is already available, but the PlayStation whatever number...
PlayStation 4?
Yeah, PlayStation 4. When's that? Is that coming along the same lines?
Yeah, they're pushing for the exact same. They said holiday. They said really even more general. Said holiday 2013. So technically, any time before Christmas is holiday 2013. I'm expecting that they will both try to beat October. They will both try to beat there before Black Friday, because that's when October. No, November is November. They'll both try to beat Black Friday. I don't know when that is, but that's what I expect them to do.
Either the beginning or middle of October, probably.
So maybe I shouldn't have gone out and just bought a new Xbox 360 and a new PlayStation 3 in the last 4 months. Is that what you're telling me?
I wouldn't say that to you if yeah.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done it. I'm just kidding. Okay, so good time to move on, I guess. So I don't know if I've ever told you guys, but I'm a huge movie fan. I love movies. I love watching movies. I love going to the movie theaters. That's pretty much where I spend most of my money, which is kind of strange to say. But I'm a big movie guy. So over the weekend, I saw Star Trek Into Darkness. So this is J.J. Abrams' second installment in the Star Trek franchise since his first release in 2009. And we see the return of the same crew, Kirk's USS Enterprise, Spock, Sulu, Uhura, Scotty, all the classic characters. And right from the opening scene, we're warped right into the action on a red-forested alien planet. The team is really well-defined in their roles in this movie. Kirk is right in the middle of the mayhem as usual. Spock is calculated and logical. And Scotty panicking because something's wrong with the thrusters as usual. And for the first half of the movie, I really found myself on the edge of my seat. I was just dying to know what was this act of terrorism, what was going on, and what was going to happen with the Klingons. There was this impending war that they kept talking about. Where are the Klingons? And just suddenly, though, it kind of just felt like I looked at my watch all of a sudden, which is weird in a movie theater, looking at your watch in the pitch black. But anyways, I just found myself thinking, we're getting pretty close to the end of the movie. There's no sign of the Klingons, and who the hell is Khan? They screamed that name, and it didn't really stick with me. I didn't really know who that meant what that meant till after I went home and Googled it. So it was almost as though the movie had forgot that there was a plot supposed to be occurring, and that it was just a series of monologues and character development. Then, like a flash of the ship coming out of warp, the plot exploded back onto the screen with a great final battle scene. It was an enjoyable movie with a great promise for future action. I think my problem is I just built my expectations a little too high for the movie. And I must add that Benedict Cumberbatch, he's from the BBC series Sherlock, if you guys watch that. He made an excellent, eerie, sinister villain in this movie, so kudos to him. He did a great job. My rating, 3.5 out of 5 stars. My recommendation, see it on cheap movie night, go to the drive-in, but just don't see it in 3D. No need to see it in 3D.
On Benedict, I think he's just fantastic. I watch Sherlock all the time on Netflix, and he's just a fantastic actor. And he's already kind of creepy on that show to begin with, and he's supposed to be the good guy. I couldn't imagine him playing the bad
playing the villain.
Like, it'd probably make me very uncomfortable, and I'd be in a movie theater. Like, I think he's a fantastic actor. Back to the movie a little bit, though, it does concern me. The way you're describing it, it's almost like they're saying, we're making 3 anyway. You might as well just wait for 3 and watch all 3 of them. Like, no matter what you do, they're making 3, and they're barely giving you very much in this one.
And I was telling Alex earlier that I was listening to an interview with J.J. Abrams after the first one, after the first release, and they said what's great about this movie is, with the whole time-space continuum tear that happened in the first one, now we're open to create any new Star Trek story that we want. And what I've been reading online is a lot of Star Trek fans are complaining that no, all you're doing is just retelling old stories, but not doing as good of a job as they did it the first time. So, yeah, it was kind of almost like a cheap excuse or a cop-out for him to say, oh, don't worry, we'll give you a third one and you'll enjoy that one.
Yeah, like, I see what you mean. Like, coming back and doing another movie about Khan is obviously kind of a departure from a claim that you're making something that's a new story. But I think what J.J. Abrams has done for Star Trek more is he's tried to make it more exciting and tried to make it more in line with what people expect when they go to the movies. And I think he's done a good job of that. And I think he's made Star Trek something that you can actually convince your girlfriend to come see with you and not get in a fight. Which, in a lot of cases was not there with the old Star Trek movies. So he's done something for the franchise in that respect. But as a Trekkie myself, I think Tunde is as well. I gotta say, like it is a little soulless on the deep space exploration, the idealistic, futuristic human civilizations front. But still, nonetheless, I liked the first movie, so I'll definitely be going to see it, even if it is at the drive-in or on cheap movie night.
Yeah, the thing for me is when you look at Star Trek, and of course. I'm a next generation guy. I do respect, the original.
I always say if Voyager, I don't know if anyone's familiar, they get lost across the galaxy. If Picard had been in Janeway's shoes, he would have gotten his crew home for dinner.
He wouldn't have taken 7 years lost in the Delta Quadrant.
Straight up.
Before we get lost in the weeds, what I'm trying to say is you watch the show. The beauty of it is every time they bring a new show on, and the shows are always mirrors of cultures. So they go to a certain planet, and there's a planet where all these people have all this honor, and they're all very quiet, but they have like this crazy amount of weaponry, and it's supposed to be very Japanese-like. It's very ritualistic. Go to other planets, and everyone's very relaxed, and there's lots of partying, lots of drinking, and they try to reflect regular human cultures in alien races, and it shows what it would be like if you were to exaggerate that to be everyone on a planet being like that. And I thought that was amazing, and these movies are they're very focused on just the crew and the people, which is great in character development, but the other races don't seem to be, pivotal. You don't really get in. The first one didn't get into that much depth about, who the other races are and why they're special or distinct.
Yeah, like I was saying, I was expecting this impending Klingon doom and this battle with Kronos, and I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched Star Trek before the first movie, and I was like, well, why is Kronos significant? And who's Khan? You're right, it's too short of a movie for them to really get into that bigger picture story that it sounds like the TV show really tried to get into.
Yeah, and in terms of a sci-fi perspective, they don't innovate as much as some of the other Star Trek. Think about Star Trek Generations. You have this nexus that, captures people in this, time-locked dreamscape for, basically eternity. Or, there's, Star Trek Insurrection where there's this planet that's causing the cellular makeup of the people to regenerate. And these ideas, while they're far-fetched, they're still creative science fiction ideas that drive the plot. And I don't really feel like there's really any core science fiction other than the fact that there are spaceships and it's set in the future in the J.J. Abrams approach.
So I also watched another movie on the weekend called Leon the Professional. So I went from brand new movie to old classic. In this movie, we see 12-year-old Matilda, who's played by Natalie Portman. Her family gets killed by DEA agents over drug problems, and Matilda's neighbor Leon, who's played by Jean Reno, witnesses the murder and is forced to provide Matilda some shelter. As it turns out, however, Leon is a professional hitman, and Matilda begins to seek Leon's help in training her to avenge her family. Now, mind you, this is a very oversimplified synopsis of the movie because I don't want to really take away from a lot of the plot and where the characters and story goes. But it was a really good film because the tension was very subtle, but there was just a lingering tension throughout the whole movie where I was like, okay, should I be concerned right now? Should I be worried about what's about to happen? Natalie Portman, it shocked me how mature that little actress was. I think she's probably 12 or 13 in the movie as well, and I saw the makings of a great actress. Jean Reno did the great job playing the guy who just stuck to himself and sort of eventually started to open himself up to Natalie Portman. And Gary Oldman was in that movie as well, which was so weird because he's Commissioner Gordon from Batman, and he was in Fifth Element, and it's just weird to see him in movies because he does such an effective job playing that character that I always go like, is that Gary Oldman? No, it can't be him. So he did a great job too.
He's not playing an old dusty cop?
He's playing a young, evil, dusty cop who does this weird thing with his neck every time he takes drugs in the movie for some reason. So, great movie, and I even found myself after the movie just trying to rethink about it and what happened, and my rating, 4.5 out of 5 stars.
This is a must-see.
It's a must-see, and my recommendation, use this as your movie as an excuse to procrastinate. Like, if you're looking for something, you're like, I really just want to zone out and enjoy a movie, highly recommend it.
Awesome.
So, tonight?
Yeah.
No,
who needs to say for accounting? Right?
No, tonight we're all going to go see Star Trek, right? After this, we're seeing Star Trek, and some of the accounting prophets, a group email saying that the entire program was caught by the flu and we all can't write the exam. As long as everyone agrees, we're good to go.
Double feature.
All right, over to Ari with some sports.
Hey guys, I don't know if you guys saw the game last night, Miami versus Indiana. Leading up to game one, I think a lot of people thought the Pacers would kind of just roll over. Miami would just kind of steamroll over them. Last night gave us a different look. It was a battle right from the tip-off. Indiana kind of controlled most of the game, in my opinion. They had everybody playing well on all cylinders. David West, Roy Hibbert, Paul George. Paul George had a really defining moment in the second half. I think he scored 26 points, in the second half in overtime. But what came to a climax was at the end of the fourth quarter. Pacers were down 3. Paul George brings up the ball, or he received an inbounds pass, I should say. Got fed with a nice pass from David West and took a deep 3 from way downtown, nailed it. With 0.7 seconds left, send it to overtime. Really, really impressive. I should add that he actually trained with LeBron James in the summer, and I think he picked up a few things, and it showed.
A couple nice tricks.
Oh yeah. But going into overtime, a lot of the same thing. You know what? The Pacers didn't roll over. They kept on fighting. Dwayne Wade got in foul trouble. He fouled out. He made a costly foul on Paul George, taking a 3-point attempt, and Paul George nailed all 3 free throws, which is unusual, and which gave the Pacers a 1-point lead. With 2.2 seconds left, people thought, okay, you're probably going to Ray Allen for 3. No, they go to LeBron. LeBron drives to the lane and gets the bucket. Where was Roy Hibbert? No one really knows. Frank Vogel took him out. But really, I think the Pacers played a great game. Paul George on that play wasn't really playing his best defense. But all in all, this might be the defining game. I think Pacers really needed this one to have a fighting chance at the series. But all in all, good game. Going to be a great series. Hopefully the Pacers can bounce back and make it a good one.
But even if, let's say, in a hypothetical scenario that Roy Hibbert was there, can really anyone stop LeBron James? Is he even a real person, or is he robot? Because if you look at his stats this season, right? No one shoots that accurately, gets that many assists and rebounds, and is still, not a ball hog, not a disruption to a team. He's just completely dominating the game in every facet. So I feel like even if Roy Hibbert was there, LeBron would have just done some LeBron move, and he would have still got the bucket, or at least gone to the line. And I think, is he 75% free throw shooter in that area? He's going to hit 2 free throws in the game on the line, and it's another overtime.
Right.
Or game winner, actually.
I mean, it was 2.2 seconds left. Not many people can get the ball from the top of the 3-point line, drive in, get an uncontested layup. But obviously LeBron has those skills, has those talents. Would Roy Hibbert have been there in the middle defending, who knows? Because Chris Bosch would have brought him out.
Yeah, he might have reconsidered that drive, I guess.
Right. And
I can't even get my shoes on in 2.2 seconds. Like, to run from the top of the key was like 30 feet.
he took one step.
Yeah, well,
He
yeah,
took
you
one
consider
step.
it's probably a step and a jump, and that's it.
One step.
Yeah, it's like I don't understand how we can do it in 2.2 seconds that we would take a normal person like 15 minutes and still not be able to get to the hoop.
So, Ari, tell me, who do you see clinching? Do you think the Heat have clinched the series after last night?
I think so. I think had the Pacers pulled out the victory, I would have said it's anybody's series just because they play such good defense. But I think, the Heat, they might win in 5. I don't know. They just look that good. And the Pacers really needed that one yesterday. We'll see. We'll see how they do. We'll see if they can continue playing good defense and they can continue to score and continue to protect the ball. They could make a series out of it. But
what's the deal on the West Coast? I haven't seen any of the West Coast games. I understand it's 2-0 or 1-0.
It's 2-0 for San Antonio. Really, they're a deep team.
They're supposed to be old. Everyone says they're old.
They have a mix of old and new, like old and young guys. Really, they have Thiago Splitter, who's a young guy. They have Danny Green. Tony Parker's playing almost at an MVP pace this year before getting injured. They just have so many weapons, and they play in such a well-orchestrated system that they're hard to beat. I mean, they're up 2-0. I foresee them going to the finals. It's going to be a challenge for the Heat, in my opinion. Like they play as much of a team as anybody in the NBA, and with Tim Duncan playing at a high level, they're going to be hard to beat.
So, just to quickly move on to hockey for a brief second, running out of time here, but in the National Hockey League, there was one game last night. It was Penn Senators. And I don't know if Brian or Anisha or any other Santoni. Yeah, if you guys are listening, I feel bad for you because that was 2-1 Ottawa in the first period. I didn't watch it. Pittsburgh dominated, but Craig Anderson was on his head. And then you had a bad period, which still wasn't the end of it. They were only down, I think, 4-2. Ended up losing 7-3. Craig Anderson was pulled for the second time in the series. It looked really bad. But what's the absolute worst is after the game, someone asked Daniel Alfredson if he thought they could come back from 3-1 down and beat the Penguins, and he said, probably not. And you never hear that from a pro athlete.
I think the quote was, they have too much depth. Probably not.
Yeah, he's like, they have too much depth. Like, it basically was just like, they're better than we are. And the last time anyone said that was, I don't know if anyone remembers, Andy Roddick said that about 8 years ago. This is in the height of Roger Federer's all of his skills. Federer had won, I think, 6 out of the last 7 majors, losing only 6 out of the last 8 majors, losing only 2 French Opens in 2 years. He'd just beaten Roddick for the second consecutive U.S. Open, and they asked him what he thought, and he just said, that guy's better than me. He's better than me, he's faster than me, I can't beat him. And everyone was like, you never say that because you give yourself no chance to come back. And I think Alfredson, while he's a class act, that was probably a poor decision. To straight up just say, we can't do it. Especially the rest of his team is really young. Basically, it's only 3 or 4 guys like him on the team who are in their 30s, veterans. Everyone else is really young.
And isn't he? I think he's been nominated for the Mark Messier Leadership Award.
Yeah,
too,
he is.
I don't know how his chances will feel after that.
Yeah, and it's possible. It's very likely he's going to retire maybe the day after tomorrow, whenever they play their last game, if they stretch it out. But it's kind of, you can kind of tell that he's tired, and he's definitely, I think he's brought down by the fact that they're playing their best, and their best still isn't good enough to beat the Penguins.
They're a tough team to beat. They have just too many good players.
And I think it kind of also reflects nicely on the Islanders in a way, who got beaten by the Penguins in the first round. Everyone was like, "Oh, the Islanders have weak goaltending or bad defense." Penguins just score a lot of goals. Craig Anderson was the best goaltender in the league this year. He led in every statistical category except for one, and that was Bobrovsky that beat him in a couple categories.
Bobrovsky! Sorry, I had to say it.
In my office, no! If Pop was here, I bet you he does the perfect on-right impression. But other than Bobrovsky, Craig Anderson was the best, and they put up 6 and 7 against him. So really, it's not that goalies are bad. Pittsburgh just has too many good players on it. Like,
every line's a threat.
Yeah, if this was any other thing but a cap league that was slightly manipulated with long contracts, you could never have two of the best 4 players in the league play on that team. Two of the best four in the league play on that team. It's ridiculous. So I think it's kind of hats off to Sens for a good try, but a wag of my finger, a shake of the head to Danny Robertson. Yeah, dumb move.
Well, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at What's Up Degroote and like us on Facebook. If you want to contact us directly, email whatsupdegroote@gmail.com with any questions or comments. This is What's Up Degroote signing off.